It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Sean Widmer Podcast. I like to at least every now and then give some... Is there a light that just went out? No, okay, never mind. I like to give some frame of reference to when this was recorded, because I know I listen to a lot of podcasts that have been recorded and I'm catching up on. This is September 22nd, into the month of September 2024 when we're recording this. So it's getting into the beginning of a work week coming up. It's going to be the Monday podcast, and it's the end of September. I wanted to bring that up because I'm ready a little bit for fall to get here. We're going to talk about that momentarily, as this is really kind of the first seasons I'm counting in Lexington, even though I've been here a year, so I've experienced all the seasons. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Also on the podcast today, I want to talk about sports. We're going to talk a little bit of sports, some things Ann and I did this weekend, an event that we went to I want to shout out because I thought it was awesome, and what is bringing me so much joy in my life right now, so much joy. We'll get into that at Keller's What Are You Into? Just a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But we start the podcast off as we do every episode by saying thank you to the members of the Patreon, patreon.com/Sean Widmer Podcast. Your support keeps this thing going. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. Love you, mean it. I do mean it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Also, we go to iTunes. We read 5-star reviews. If there's a 5-star review, they get to kick off the podcast with whatever it is they wrote. We haven't had one for 5 days. We reset the timer. 5 days ago was our last one, but nothing this time, which means I have to come up with a shout out. I'm going to shout out Trader Joe's Petite Pumpkin Spice Cookies. Now, I'm not a cookie guy, but I am a snacks guy. I don't know if we talk about that now or later. I am a snacks guy, and these are good little snacks because they're not big cookies that someone made, chocolate chip cookies or something like that. They're just little cookies that are mainly frosting with some sprinkles on them. Petite pumpkin spice cookies from Trader Joe's. I love them, and they also bring me back to a time where we were in Spokane. We had got the play set up. It was getting cold out, and Olivia loved these things. And Olivia and Anna in the evening would sit out on our swing set as it was getting cold, and we'd kind of have her bundled up, and she would just devour these cookies, and it was the cutest thing. And we just didn't have any kind of capability of slowing her down on them. And so now she's addicted to sugar. So that's a good memory. But I love these things. I'd highly recommend these Trader Joe's Petite Pumpkin Spice Cookies. I'm still trying to figure out if I recommend their beer. We had a game night. Well, I guess we talked about the weekend. We had some really fun weekend nights fun nights this weekend. Friday, Saturday nights were jam-packed with stuff, and it was just really, really enjoyable. Friday night, we had a game night here with Anna's sisters, their husbands, and Mike and his girlfriend, Robin. And so we had, 8 of us here playing Jackbox games. Very fun. The Jackbox games never disappoint. Never disappoint. My brother-in-law, Patrick, is hilarious. You put someone who's really funny into the Jackbox world, it's going to end well. And so it was a really enjoyable night. I highly recommend getting those games. Jackbox, they have 10 party packs. I just talked about this a couple episodes ago, but you can get them on like the PlayStation, Xbox. I think you can get them on Switch. You can get them on your computer. There's so many different ways of getting these games. I'd recommend looking into one that you could maybe do and trying them out. Okay, if you've never tried them out, you've never heard of them, try them out. They're not as hard to get into as you think. The one thing I will say, if you have a Jackbox night, make sure everyone you send the text out, have your phones charged, and then make sure you have your chargers in the area you're going to play the game so people can be moving around and sitting where they could charge their phone for a bit because you're on it the whole time, using it as your device to enter answers and all that. So that's like your 2024 paper. Paper and pen. This replaces that. So fun. But my wife went out and she was at Trader Joe's. She put together an amazing charcuterie board. She loves doing charcuterie boards when we have people over. It was so good. And more on that in just a second. I need to hold that thought. Petite pumpkin spice cookies from Trader Joe's, the charcuterie board from there. But she got I said, can you get just a couple drinks? And she got me a 6-pack of the hazy. I love hazy IPA. The 6-pack of their hazy IPA, it's $7. It's $6.99. It's the price of one beer at a restaurant. It's less than a 6-pack of Miller Lite at like a gas station. It's crazy the price for this. And I think it's good, but I will say, I had a couple of them on Friday night, and I didn't feel that hot on Saturday. And it wasn't like I went after it. I just didn't feel great. So I don't know if that was what I'm about to talk about or it was the hazy IPA. It is September 22nd, 2024, and it begins. My wife has started it, and it begins for me. I've hinted at this over the course of this summer. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see I started this maybe a couple years ago, right after COVID. I started, put on some LBs. Put on some LBs. We had kids. As soon as we started having kids, I started diving into chicken nuggets. And I'm not somebody who's ever going to be super fit, but when you eat an entire charcuterie board and then there's leftovers and you just sit there, and I'm a picker. I love just nibbling at snacks. If you've got snacks out, I'm going to nibble at them all night. If there's chips out, I'm always going to be chomping on something. I'm like Rusty Ryan off of the Oceans franchise. And so having this charcuterie board in our house all night, everyone else had the frame of mind of let's have some and then let's stop. I was just like, I'm going to have more. It's there. There's so much cheese. So I'm just a big cheese block. It's got to get dialed in. So I had my come to Jesus moment today, and then I fired up the podcast night. I was like, yeah, it's time. It's just time. We got to bring things in. And the other thing that happened was I got tired today playing with my kids, and that was the moment. I got tired today playing with my kids, and it was just an out of shape thing. And I thought, what? That's not me. That hasn't happened to me. And so it happened, and I thought, no. So we're in it now. The whole Widmer family's in it now. So it's going to be chicken, which I'm fine with. That was my when I lived by myself, it was just chicken all the time because it was easy, and I just didn't care to eat. I just wanted to play my video games or go visit buddies and hang out or watch NBA games. Anyways, the charcuterie board was like one of my triggers for that. But it was a great game night. The next night, Saturday night, even better night. We went to my buddy Mike's house. I've got two Mikes that live here, which is weird. Local Mike, not Spokane Mike, local Mike. He has two of these a year. They do equinox parties. So it's the spring and the fall equinox. Those are days where it's 12 hours of sunshine, 12 hours of darkness, right? Equinox. And he does a party on each one of those days. Brilliantly clever idea. And all it is a huge get-together. He invites all his friends. He's got a really cool backyard. I've talked about it before in the podcast. He's got a sick lodge, and it's a great hang spot. And Ann and I went there, and she got to meet the guys I've been hanging out with, playing games with on the weekends, which was really fun to get her to connect with them. And she's always really fun to have at any get-together. So people were enjoying talking to her, and I enjoyed getting to hang out with her with them. And we just had a really fun time. But it was the Friday night, late night, Saturday night, late night. I was tired today. And we used to do this on the regular where we do a Friday night, late night, Saturday night, late night. But my son, Huck, God bless him, he does so much that makes me happy. We'll get to that in a second. This boy does not want to sleep in past 6 o'clock. When I heard him at 5:50 screaming bloody murder for me to get him out of his bedroom, and I went in there and I'm like, look, dude, you don't get to get out yet. We're going to rock for a little bit. And you do the thing where, okay, well, I'm going to rock him for a bit, and he's going to go back to sleep for a little bit. But that doesn't matter because now I have been woken up in really close to 6 o'clock. I can't just go lay back down and be like, look, I'm going to sleep for a little bit because he's going to be up no later than 6:30, 6:45. So I'm not going to be able to fall asleep fast enough, get enough sleep. So even though for him, I can rock him and get him to sleep, it screws the parent because I'm awake now. I'm awake and I'm going. So when that happened today after 2 late nights, oh my gosh. I went downstairs and I thought, I don't know if I'm actually here. Am I actually awake? Am I actually walking in this kitchen? And we got through the day. But as much as that happened with Huck, and real quick, for the Equinox party, I'd recommend this. This is a great one to latch onto, considering there's 2 of them a year and people don't really celebrate them. If you're looking for an event for you to grab onto, this is a fun one. Because you can make it big, right? And he had a big fire going in his backyard. I think it just works out well for that, right? You're gonna get it's 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of nighttime. Now they were out until at least 5 o'clock in the morning. This, I guess, used to be a deal where they was just all night. Let's just go all night. Well, everyone's gotten a little older and people aren't doing all-nighters. But my buddy Alex was there and he texted and said he left with his neighbor who he brought at 4:30. They left at 4:30 in the morning. And there were still people there. And Mike was still enjoying the festivities. So I love that they do that just an all night. You know it's happening twice a year. Mentally prepare yourself for it. But I'd recommend latching onto it. And I always promote this because I think it is extremely fun. If you can work yard games into it, that'd be great. That'd be great. But the thing with this one that I think is interesting, where you work yard games into a 4th of July party, and it's in the daytime, right? And then by the night it's done. This is a night event. And I think when you do an equinox party, it does need to be like this weirdly cool overnight, late night deal. But if you got some big lights and you did yard games that you started at 11 o'clock, I think that would be awesome. And you did the overnight yard game Olympics in Equinox, I think you have a hit on your hands. I think you have an absolute smash on your hands. You get cornhole, you get ladder golf, you get some kind of modified croquet, since you probably don't want to take your whole yard up with croquet. I had a couple in my head. You have washers, which is, cornhole, but the better version, I think. And you maybe need like 5 or 6, and you just put together a little backyard game tournament. Starts at 11. This is thanks to the Seth brothers, I love if you get the Home Depot buckets, the big buckets, and a smaller like bouncy ball, and you do beer pong, but with those out back, or like a volleyball with those out back. That's a home run game. That's a home run game. So that's my just pitch to you. Equinox parties. You now have a long time to prep for the spring one. All right. So now get it together. Start building it. Start figuring out how you want it to be. Any kind of twist. Do you want to do it around food? Do you want to do it how Mike does it? And it's just a really fun hang, whatever, a big bonfire, whatever. Get ready. My kids, I wanted to give them a shout out. As much as, Huck. He's a wild man. He is emotional. He has crazy 2-year-old meltdowns that I say they're 2-year-old meltdowns, but he's had these since birth. So maybe they're just him. Outside like that, outside of him waking up early, outside of Olivia being Olivia not having ears right now, which, speaking of this, neither of our kids really have ears. As a parent, when you're around other parents, you get told how to parent a lot without asking for it. And people tell you what to do and what the right way to raise your kids is. And it drives me crazy. But the one time I need that advice, no one's coming up to me telling me what to do. I give my kids something poor to eat, and everyone's just jumping down my throat like, you can't freaking feed them that. They're going to die. When all I need you to do is tell me how you get your kids to listen. How about that one? How about you tell me how to get my kids to listen to me, and I will take that advice and I will run with it. I don't want you to tell me what I should or shouldn't feed my kids, how much screen time they should have, when they should go to bed, all of that. I just want you to tell me how to get them to listen. That's it. If you've got a hack for that, I am asking you to send me, what did you do for that? We're also in that stage right now with Olivia where the not listening leads to her getting in trouble, and we're trying to figure out maneuvering that way where we need to make a point that she's in trouble, but like it's sensitive to like trying to walk that thin line of being the parent, loving parent, stern parent, getting the point across, not crossing any lines, but not being too soft on it. We're trying to find that line, and I can't find it. So I take advice on that as well. I actually, overall, I dig parenting advice. I just don't always love it unsolicited in my face. But at this point, I'm asking for it. So load up the inbox over at seanslife.com in the comments section. Right there on the front page, seanslife.com, big comments board. Just go there, type it in, send it to me. These are asked for. But my kids have brought me so much joy. Oh my gosh. During the week, I'm working and I don't get to see them as much. And on Saturday, I went to bed Friday night. We had a great time with the people that came over. And I woke up Saturday and I thought, I just want to be with my kids. I want to be with my kids today. So I tried to just make sure I had Huck and Olivia the entire day. Then Anna didn't have to deal with the older ones because she sees them all week right now, and she could just focus on Woods. And then that's kind of a good place. Like, you can get in a groove with him. He can have a great day. And I knew I could go hang with the kids. So we just hung out all day Saturday. And we have hit ultimate imagination. Their imaginations are wild, right? We played Hot Wheels for a moment. We played it for like 30, 40 minutes where each of us had 2 cars and they're talking to each other. Olivia's convinced Huck that they're real. And so he'll like, oh, Missy, I'm Mr. Blue Car, and it's orange, but he doesn't know. He's got to be colorblind. He's either colorblind or we're gonna struggle with some tests coming up in general. But he's doing little voices for him. Olivia's in it. She's got mom car, dad car, and I've got enemy villain car and hero car. And we just sat there and we ran around the basement, talking his cars, running them through different situations, saving lives, putting lives in jeopardy, getting in trouble, going to school, like everything. And it was just a blast. The imagination of these kids is so fun, which leads to the fact we are living for Halloween in my house right now. I think we did 3 costume changes on Saturday. Olivia just continually needing to get ready for Halloween. She already has her costume. It's from the YouTube guy, Ryan's World, the kid who opened the toys back in the day and now has like a cartoon style thing on his channel and all this stuff. She's one of the cartoon characters, Red Titan. So she's got her outfit, but every moment she sees something else and thinks of something else. It's like, well, maybe we could do 4 Halloweens and I could be these 4 things. So I could be Red Titan for one of them, but maybe we do like 4 or 5 Halloweens. I get more candy, and I can be a pumpkin for one. I can be what was the other one she wanted to do? Oh, Gabby from Gabby's Dollhouse for one. She wants weirdly she wants to be a witch. I don't know. She got that in her mind. I think she's like scared of witches, but then the best way for her to deal with that is to be one. We're living for it though. But today was also a day where I've had so much fun with the kids, and they bring me so much happiness hanging out with them and just roughhousing. That's all they want to do, roughhouse. Dad, get on the couch and we want to wrestle. They just want to wrestle nonstop, and they want me to grab them and they want me to toss them on the couch and tickle them and tickle them until they're a little bit tired of it, but then want me to catch them again. And they just want to roughhouse. We had so much fun. And today Huck woke up and I brought him downstairs. And we were getting breakfast ready, and he walked right up to me, and he just looked me right dead in the eyes. And he normally doesn't have a whole lot to say to me that's not, get me my breakfast, can I listen to music, can I watch a show, can I, just like begging for all the things he wants to do. Can I have fruit snacks at 6:43 a.m.? And that's kind of how Huck talks, but today he looked right at me, and he goes, Daddy, please don't go to work. And I was like, oh, my guy. You've got it. Today I'm not going to work, brother. He's just right in my eyes. Daddy, please don't go to work. And that melts your heart, right? That melts your heart as a parent. You feel like, oh, this is why you have 3 of them, because of those moments. Now, moments later, he was screaming bloody murder because I got him his vitamin and gave it to him, and he wanted to grab the vitamin container. And I had grabbed the vitamin, and I put it right in front of him, and he ate it and realized that was not how he wanted it to go. And then he threw like a 20-minute fit because he didn't get to grab the vitamin box. So, at that point, I was excited to go to work. At that point, I was very excited to go to work. Okay, quick sports before we get into Kelly's What Are You Into? Seahawks, 3-0. 3-0. Leaders of the NFC West. They beat the Dolphins. Dolphins injured. But guess what? Seahawks have some injuries too. Kenneth Walker is out. We're on like third stringers on the offensive line at some positions. It's not like we're super healthy. Now, I get it. The Dolphins are missing their quarterback. That's a big deal. But the Seahawks go out and win. They take care of business. They move to 3-0, and I thought they looked okay. There's a big stagnant part of the game today that was just dreadfully hard to watch because the offense wasn't doing much, but that's not the focus. I think all the hype about Mike McDonald, the coach of the Seahawks, who came in from Baltimore as a defensive-minded guy, I think today was a huge day for him, and I think this week could be a very fun week as a Seahawks fan because in the grand scheme of the NFL, breakdown of all things is huge. NFL is king. NFL is king during the week. Although this year, Caitlin Clark and her Fever, who lost today, The WNBA playoffs are going to slide on in there because Caitlin Clark has brought this league to the forefront of everyone's mind. I was looking in on WNBA scores today. I loved it. It was great because I love basketball. But NFL's king, so it's going to be the talking points, right? Playoff baseball is going to get a little bit. WNBA playoffs is going to get a little bit. College football is going to get a bit. But the chunk of time in the sports world right now is for the NFL. And the 3-0 teams are going to be rather important to talk about. Are they real? Are they fake? Are they all that? Which means there's going to be some heavy diagnosis of the Seattle Seahawks defense. And I think this week is going to be very fun because I think we're going to start seeing what, for me, normal average football fan doesn't just notice when I watch a game and pick up on a defensive thing we're doing differently than we were last year, differently than other teams do. But as soon as they make it to NFL Live and all the shows that do the breakdowns, I think we're going to see all the trickeration. And it's going to be really fun as a Seahawks fan to see what Mike McDonald is doing, how he's scheming it up, and why we're not giving up any points to the Miami Dolphins today, and why Tyreek Hill didn't burn us for a whole bunch of stuff, where I feel like in the past, if you have a fast receiver, they're going to get a score on us. Didn't happen. So I'm excited for this week. 3-0 is important. 3-0 is important. We've got a huge one coming up next Monday night, Monday Night Football, Lions. That's our game next week. That's huge. In Detroit. That is like statement of statement games. You go into the end of the first quarter pretty much with a potentially undefeated with a big road game against a team that was dominant last year. It's a huge game next week. Anyways, I'm excited about the Seahawks. Cougar fans, you need to be excited. Cougs they were fun. San Jose State beat them Friday night, remain undefeated. We stay undefeated. Watch on the Cougs as well. Let's screw up the 12. Let's screw up the playoff. I'm all in on Arch Manning. Arch Manning is my favorite football player who's not on the Seahawks. I love him. I want the Seahawks to get him somehow. He won again. I'm in. I know he had 2 interceptions, but he had 2 touchdowns. I'm in. Arch Manning for everything. For Heisman, for MVP of the NFL, every award. For Finals MVP in the WNBA, Arch Manning for everything. And the Mariners are in it somehow, barely, hanging on for dear life. They're a couple games and a half, maybe a game and a half, 2.5 out of the playoffs, out of the wild card, with 6 games to go or something like that. I didn't do my research, but there's just like, if you're a sports person from where I'm living, it's kind of fun right now. Okay, let's do it.
Kelly's, what are you into?
Oh, baby, they did it. Sony PlayStation unveiled their new 30th anniversary console. And they put like the blades for a PlayStation 5. The outside of a PlayStation 5 is replaceable. So the edges, the white part, if you're familiar with the PS5, the white part, those things slide off and you can put other, I forget what they call them. Are these slides? Are they? Doggone it, I forget what they call them. Anyways, the outside you can change, but that's not the point. They made them in the gray, the original PlayStation gray color. They are making PS5 controllers that are PS1 controllers in terms of how they look. That same gray, the black D-pad, black analog sticks, but most importantly, the sacred symbols, as I call them, and it's been my fantasy football name forever. The pink square, the green triangle, the red circle, the blue cross. Those buttons are those colors, and they look awesome. And so this 30th edition, this 30th anniversary controller, I'm not a big peripheral guy anymore because I just don't spend my money like I used to spend my money on that stuff. I didn't have 3 kids and a wife, so it was like, whatever. I'm going to spend my money on this weird controller. So I normally don't do that anymore, but this, I will make an exception for this. I will get one of these controllers. I think they're spectacular. So if you're an old school gamer, an old school PlayStation person, I highly recommend checking them out. They're gonna hit you where the nostalgia gets you. Okay, let's take a look at some comments. Let's get out of here. This one comes from Yvonne over there on Spotify. You can comment if you're a Spotify listener. She said, "Can't believe Survivor is already starting. No, not when I watch, but I like to hear your updates. I'm still an Android phone user. LOL. Samsung Galaxy 21 Plus. Is that what it is? Whew. Samsung Galaxy. I'm interested in the Androids. I'm just so used to iPhone now, like Ryan had talked about. I'm so integrated into the Apple ecosystem that's where I live. and it connects to my laptops, and that's huge. And so that's what I like. Is what I'm in on. But I respect the Androids because I do feel like a lot of them look really cool. They also look like they have really cool camera stuff. Maybe that's the Pixel. Whatever. I'm not beating people up for not having an iPhone. Like some people get really into it. Let's go over to YouTube. The YouTube channel has some comments as well. Roberta said this: always so fun to listen to you and Ryan. I will have to say Android here. Okay, Roberta in there as well. But it was the choice of my tech son that got me this far on my phone. As the only Apple product in my house is one of his computers, never been a Mac person. I guess I don't know what I'm missing other than the camera. I want a phone with a decent camera always. Roberta, that's the thing, right? I don't really play a whole lot of games on my phone anymore. I do Duolingo, right? I do the Spanish Duolingo. I play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes with Marcus and Mike, but I'm not using my phone for a whole lot of gaming. I'm not calling as much as I used to, as much as I once did. I'm not even texting. I do text a ton, but not even as much as I used to. But I take an immense amount of photos and videos. I mean, a ton. So that camera is huge for me. So that's all. I could be swayed into an Android just by someone showing me a great camera. Okay, this one came from Jeremy Sneed 9233 about Shohei Ohtani. There is no substantial size change in baseball. Talking about baseball players. There's no substantial size change in baseball. In fact, the difference in weight between average Joe and MLB player is from 10% to 2.3%, while height difference in MLB average Joe remains the same. I think this is between eras. So, the 40s, 50s, 60s to now. I think he said the average weight is, maybe that's, anyways, height difference is the same. The modern MLB player mechanics are much more degenerative today. Player development is antiquated. I don't know what that means. I think he's saying that guys get hurt easier, potentially. I could see that, right? I could see that. Guys are better at baseball now. I thought about this a lot. Someone else challenged me about this as well. And I got the old, well, if you brought Babe Ruth to today, he would be working out in today's environment and he'd be the best. But he didn't. You see, that's the thing. He didn't. And Shohei did. So you could put Shohei back in time. Shohei is Shohei. Okay? Babe Ruth was Babe Ruth. In the hypothetical situation where you send someone from today backwards, Back to the Future style, you can do that because you don't have to imagine anything. You have seen both of them. Concrete. I have seen LeBron James and the freak of an athlete he is, and I have seen guys from the 1950s who did not look the same as LeBron. And you go, well, if you brought someone from the 50s to today, they could, like, imagine them. Okay, yeah, imagine. I'm out. I don't have to imagine what LeBron looks like. I don't have to imagine what the 50s players look like. They are what they are. So that said, the players a long time ago were good. Shohei is better. I don't want him to be. That was the other thing. I kept getting in all these arguments. People were like, oh, you're a homer. Which I don't know. I hate the Dodgers. I hate the Angels. I don't like Shohei. I just neutrally observing the fact he's a freak. I'm a Barry Bonds guy. That's my favorite player. That's who I wish was the best ever. I still think he is. So we can fight about that because you'll go, well, he was on PEDs. Okay, yeah. He can see the ball better than anybody. So whatever. That argument always makes me laugh. Yeah, you can put guys backwards. You can't put guys forward. And make me imagine. Whew. What? Where are we? Ian said this. This is why my sports show failed. Ian said this. The Marlins coach was asked if he was going to walk Shohei. His response was, F that. Literally. The press conference, he was like, that's baseball karma. I'm not inviting onto my team. I love that. Doc Ellis will always be the GOAT of pitchers. He threw a no-hitter while on LSD. I don't know that that's true. Was he on? I don't know if that's true. Surprised you and I'm gonna have to fact check that. Surprised you and Ryan didn't talk about Apple's next iPhone after the 16. It's going to be foldable. It's in testing now. I thought that was like said that for the last two phones. Have they not? Have they not promoted like someone leaks that they're going to do a foldable phone. I don't think Apple will ever do a foldable phone. I don't think it's going to happen. I've now experienced enough of those foldable phones to know they're cool, but I don't think Apple's going there. I really don't. Prove me wrong, Apple. Prove me wrong. Make a cool foldable phone. Since you know it's bats, okay, let's get outside of bats. Bats was huge. Since you know it's bats, clear them out during the daylight with gloves and P90 organic vapor half-face respirator. Then put up netting that has very small openings to keep them out. That's the only real solution you have. The amount of bat stuff I got was awesome. Thank you. But I got to go to my gal Carol Walker, crushing it. She was like, you got to save the bats. And she was the first one to send me that. It made me think, like, what? What? And then they flooded in where people were explaining why bats are important and what they do. And a lot of people were like, look, you get a bat. This was at the Equinox party. People were like, you get a bat house, put it at your house. They will take care of so many of the insects that are around and will limit that. And I was like, well, this bat sucks then because I got spiders everywhere. So this is a dumb bat. I need a better bat. All right, thank you for listening to your favorite 15-minute podcast.